In today's video I'm going to be making a complete techno track using sounds from Elektron's Digitone only. Now if you've been following my videos lately, then you will know that I've been focusing on making tracks with software instruments. Today is a bit of a departure because I have more videos with hardware instruments coming up. So I would love to know which ones you prefer, if you prefer the hardware instruments over the software instruments or the other way around. So if you have an opinion on this, please let me know in the comments. But without further ado, let's just get into it. So here we have my Digitone, and the first thing to note here is that it looks a little bit odd. So what happened here is that over the years my Digitone has developed a skin condition, and recently I've treated it for this condition, which is that the buttons have a rubber coating that started to disintegrate on some of the buttons, and I used some alcohol to get rid of this coating, but now some of the paint is actually damaged, like here, and also on some of the other buttons. So this is not a very good thing. I've read online that a lot of Elektron users have this problem. So whether it's to do with the hot climate I live in or some other factor, it is seriously affecting the look and feel of the instrument in a bad way. But in any case, let's just get started here. I'm going to create a bunch of sounds and I'm going to record them in Ableton Live and use that for the sequencing. I would love to make the whole track inside the Elektron because it has the great sequencer that it's known for, but unfortunately there are only 4 sequencer tracks, even though there are 8 voices, and that is very limiting for a complete track. I will be recording some sequences, but everything is going to be arranged in Ableton Live. So let's get started here on the first track and make a kick drum. The sine wave is what we get by default. I'm going to pitch it lower, and now I need an envelope on the pitch. Okay, so let's move the mix all the way to the right, to the Y, and let's change the modulation here of B. Lower the level here and shorten the decay. Let's try some drive in the amp section here and shorten the decay, and let's record this into live. Just one kick drum sound, and let's put it in a MIDI track in a simpler device. Next up, let's make a bass. So I'm going to lose the pitch envelope or dial it back a little bit. A little bit might be good. This is a sine wave, but it does sound like there is some high frequency content there. Let's just have a look at the spectrum here in ProQ. Yeah, so we can actually filter this. Low pass it. Let's go down an octave. And what I'll do here is create a sequence. Terrible playing. I'm just going for a rumbling bass sound here. Everything's quantized, so at least the timing isn't off. Let's adjust the tempo, by the way, 135. I haven't connected overbridge, by the way. I'm not using that. It's just the audio outputs of the Elektron Digitone going into my Apollo Twin interface. I'll have to do the timing alignment by hand. Let's make this a very short loop. Maybe just a quarter bar. Or a half bar. I've made it a MIDI clip for the kick drum, and together it sounds like this. I'm going to pitch down the kick. Okay, now let's make some sort of a sequence. I'm just going to clear the pattern. Now one thing that is fun to do is randomizing the pages here, the parameters on the pages. So for instance, if I press synth 1 here and yes, it randomizes it, these parameters as well. And I can do that until I find an interesting sound. For instance, this one. Let's turn on the metronome again and record something. Terrible timing again, of course. So this pattern needs to evolve a little bit more, so let's see what we can do with the different synth parameters here. Okay, so let's just record something into Ableton. Okay, and let's save this, and I'll just go to a different track to make some more sounds. So what about a pad sound? Again, I'm going to randomize and see if I find some interesting stuff to work with. For the pad, I like a long attack time. You get these evolving sounds that way. And maybe play with the ratios a little bit here and B. Detune them. Let's adjust the amp envelope. This drive does interesting things. Let's see if I can automate that with one of the LFOs. So amplifier drive. And make it very slow. Yep. I'm going to assign the other LFO to panning. Let's set up the filter, maybe a bandpass. Let's try that. Do we have a bandpass? Actually, no, we don't. Just a low pass. Didn't realize that. That sounds nice. I'm going to use the filter envelope as well for, again, a long attack. Let's do a long decay as well. Let's use track number 4 to make some percussive stuff. Again, I'm going to randomize the synth here and use the amp envelope to shape this sound. But this is already sounding like something that is usable for percussion with the noise component and the strange harmonics in it. So, let's just record one shot here and load it up in a simpler. And on to the next one, let's do something hi-hat like, shaker like. Now there isn't a noise generator here, but we can use the feedback to create some noise. I'll just increase that and play with the algorithm a little bit. So the feedback is affecting A, which is modulating C. So let's put the mix all the way to the left, to the X side here, and increase the modulation of C. So it's sounding noisier already, but let's use a high pass filter to get rid of some of the low end. And let's make a simple pattern here. Mute the rest. And I'll assign an LFO to the decay time here to create some variation. So destination amp, decay, decay time, triangle wave, low speed, slow, little depth. Let's make it a random wave. Little variations, that's what this is about. I will record a long loop of this sound so we capture some of the variation of the LFO. Here we go. Okay, let's see if I can come up with a cymbal sound now. Just changing the pattern here. We need a longer decay. I guess some more aggressive high pass filtering. With the secondary filter here, bass width. What else? Let's come up with some more sounds. I'm just going to randomize the synth parameters a few times and see what we get here. Let's change some of the amp parameters back to default. This could be some sort of a drone as well. Something like an effect sound. Let's give it a lot of reverb and some LFO on the panning. Just a sine or a triangle wave. Let's go for the triangle. Something like this. I'm just going to record this into a long clip. Lots of thunder going on outside. Let's do one more sound, something percussive. So I'll start with changing the envelope back. And let's get rid of the reverb. This is sounding interesting. Turn off the LFO. Some drive perhaps. And the filters, forgot about this one. There we go. I'll record one shot of this sound and use it in a simpler device, just like I did on a previous track. Okay, and that's the sound generation part done. Next up, I'm going to create an arrangement in Live, do some automation and effects and the like, and when it's done, I'll come back to you and show you the result. So I've reordered the tracks, added some effects and created an arrangement, which I will show you now. So the arrangement was created live using the Akai APC40 controller, basically recording the arrangement as I'm going along, which is a very efficient way of working. So as you can see, the timing of the clips when they start and stop is a little bit different from what you usually see with 8 or 16 bar blocks. So this can actually be an interesting thing where it's a little bit different than usual. I have to admit I did move around some of the clips a little bit because the timing was very odd. And for instance, this one here starting at this weird point, it's better just to move it over here. So that's just an example of tidying everything up a little bit, but I left some of it in place. So let's just do a playthrough and I will show you a little bit what I did here and there, the automation, the effects, etc. First off, I start with just the kick, the the sub, which are grouped now, and the main synth riff. And there's a filter on it, a low pass filter, that is slowly opening. It'll start to open in a little bit. And then after that is immediately a long break without the kick and the sub bass. And arguably not a lot is happening here, but that's the live arrangement thing. Now the pad sound is coming in. I would probably start that earlier. Kick and sub are coming back, and now there's the hi-hat here as well. And this pad sound is nice because it's such a long loop that evolves, that keeps the interest going. Then there's these stab 1 and 2 sounds. They are just placed after each other. And these are MIDI clips where I recorded the sound and put it into a simpler device. And coming up we have a break here with the high pass filter on the kick and sub group channel, DJ style. Now adding in the open hi-hat here. I just did some basic EQing on some of the tracks. This one I didn't even bother, just left it in place. What I would typically do is put a high pass on here, get rid of some of the low end if it's too much. And now there's this long clip starting here, this sort of noisy riser effect. And actually I set this clip to not to repeat, not to loop. So it happens one time and then it stops again automatically. Which is also a nice trick if you don't want things to loop around. Again, a high pass break here. Not very precise automation as you can see, but that's all for later to worry about. Timing starts to become a little bit odd here. The way the clips start and stop, or the way this high pass break is timed. But anyway. Now I did something here. I set up a return track, so as of standard I have a reverb, a Valhalla room and a delay set up, but I added the third one here, the Valhalla shimmer, with an LFO tool and some EQ, and actually sending the closed hi-hat to the shimmer. You can't hear it now, but it adds an extra layer. And also the synth riff is now being sent to the shimmer here with automation on the send effect here, and that basically adds another layer, sort of a pad sound, combined with this longer high pass break, as you can see in the middle of the track, and then a big drop where everything happens. Both the hi-hats coming in again with the added layer of the shimmer here on the 16th note hi-hat, the closed hi-hat, and this effect fading in again. Now the FM pad is coming back, the stabs, the second one had dropped out, it's back again. Here a break where I just stopped the kick in the sub bass. And again the shimmer effect is going to come in on the synth riff here. And towards the outro, this stuff repeats a few times. Again, the noisy sound effect, the riser effect, starting here, a long 16 bar pattern, stopping the hi-hats here. They're quite loud and noisy, I have to admit. A final high pass break on the kick and the sub. Yeah, I didn't get that timing right, this needs to move here. Last time that the hi-hat is coming back here. And a final riser towards the end. Winding everything down basically. Close the low pass filter a little bit on the main synth riff. Final time the riser here, and then the beat basically stops, and and there's just a few bars of this rifflet. And that's the complete track made with sounds from Digitone only. So again, this is the first video about a hardware instrument for a long time, and I'm really curious to hear from you what you think. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more. I have a lot more videos coming up, both hardware and software synthesizers, and I'm really enjoying this format where I'm taking these challenges, and I hope you are too. In any case, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.